Good morning. Thank you for having me. Well, first of all, even though the Americans had been obviously pressing the Israelis not to attack, it wasn't surprising that the Israelis eventually felt the need to respond. As we saw a few days ago, the Iranian response, although it was well broadcast ahead of time, it still wasn't a very pretty picture for the Israelis. It really showed the Israeli state as being quite vulnerable. It had to elicit the support of other actors in order to intercept Iranian missiles and Iranian projectiles going towards Israel. And so, of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu, it is understandable that he, in weighing his options, felt that he had to do something. Now, that said, the thing that he did, although we don't have verified reports of what exactly has happened and what the impact was, I think we can all agree that the Israeli response was much more of a symbolic message than it really was an escalation, which was the best that we could have hoped for when it came to an Israeli response. Now, again, we're still trying to figure out and hear more about what exactly happened. But what we do know, most importantly of all, is that the Iranians are downplaying this Israeli strike on Iran, which is a big message. It shows us that the Iranians, even though they had said that they would be prepared to counterattack once again, are not eager to escalate this further. There were no casualties, there were no major infrastructure sites hit. The attacks seem to have been launched from inside Iran, which means that there wasn't any need, for example, for Israeli projectiles to cross Jordanian airspace and get the Jordanians involved once again. So, all in all, it feels like a symbolic attack, something that the Israelis could say, look, we did something, we didn't just stay silent as the Iranians penetrated our airspace, but not so much that it would cause another further escalation in the region or any embarrassment to the Arab states in the region to have to get involved once again between the two. Right. And of course, those right wing voices are always going to be clamoring for more and for harder. But Prime Minister Netanyahu doesn't have to listen to them. Now, the Israelis did something which is basically they said, there is a message that we're sending here is that we can get to your nuclear sites if we want to. We know where they are. And even though we didn't hit them this time, we can do it. A lot of this that has been going on over the last few days, both with the Iranian strike and the Israeli strike, is messaging. It's posturing and messaging. Neither side, obviously, is willing or ready to escalate into an all out war. The Israelis, in particular, cannot get into an all out war without the full support, both military and political, of the Americans, which President Biden made it clear that he was not willing to give. So a lot of this has been about messaging. The Iranians basically saying, we're not afraid to strike you inside. We crossed that line and we're not afraid to do it again. And the Israelis are saying, and by the way, we're not afraid either. We know where your sites are. We can strike them if we want. We're just choosing not to do so right now. So they both have a little bit of uh, two different kinds of messaging that they need for their domestic publics right now. They're both able to say, we can do something if we want to, but we're being responsible and we're not choosing to do it at this time.